And I'm going to leave you, ladies and gentlemen, in the capable hands of Mr. Graham Sharp and Mr. Christopher Mendes, and they are from Shetland Reel Gin. Big round of applause, thank you.
Hello everybody, my name is Christopher Martinez. I came all the way from Barcelona to do today a show about how to do a gin and tonic. Graham, my colleague, is going to tell you a bit more about the Shetland Reel Gin.
So, my name is Graham Sharp. I work for Shetland Reel Gin. I am a brand ambassador and I work doing business development on the mainland. So, has everyone here heard of Shetland Reel? Yay, great, it's always good. I've had that before when it's been silent. What we're going to talk about today is just a little bit of background about the history, and then we'll get on to talking about gin and tonics and how they become so popular. So the company was started, the first distillation of our original gin was in 2014, about on Halloween, so pretty close, almost exactly 2 years ago. It's grown from being one product, from very small scale to much more. At the moment we've got 5 products, 4 gins and 1 blended whiskey. All the products, at least 2 of them, we've got on here, and 2 we're using today. So the original gin and our ocean scent both use botanicals that we get from Unst. We collect the seaweed ourselves from around the island, and we use apple mint, which we're using one of the cocktails as well, and we get that from Unst too. So, does everyone here like gin and tonics? Lovely, great, very loud, fantastic. So, gin and tonics originally is one of the easiest cocktails to make. 2 basic ingredients, but originally it was used as a medicine. So quinine was used in the British colonies for mainly military to fight against malaria. So the way they used to eat it was, and the way they used to consume it was, it would come in a big sort of block, they would break it up, dilute it in soda water, and then they would add gin to make it taste nice and take away from the bitterness. Now quinine is the main part of tonic, and that's how tonic was sort of created, almost by accident as a medicine. Gin itself originated from Holland as Genevieve, and it was originally a medicine. So if anything, it's just going to be good for us to drink these and talk about it. Now it grew from that, from being a way to fight off against malaria. It became more popular, and it just became the standard mixer to go with gin. Now the first gin and tonic we're going to do is using our original gin. So this, like I said, the first distillation happened in 2014. We use 9 different botanicals. We use juniper, coriander and angelica root. Those 3 are sort of the holy trinity of gin, and they're used in all of them. Then we've also got orris root, cassia bark, orange peel, lemon peel, almond powder, and then apple mint. All the apple mint that we use is dried. We get it from Unst Market Garden on Unst. Now what Christopher's doing here is, when you have gin and tonics in any cocktail you make, you should always chill the glass first to make sure that when the spirits goes in, it's all done in a very specific way. All the actions that Chris does, the way he touches it, the way he does everything, is all done with a purpose. In Spain as well, gin and tonics are bigger, and gin is much bigger than it is here. And they always get served in those massive balloon glasses. And gin and tonics tend to come with a perfect serve. Now, the one we're about to make now is our Shetland Reel Gin and Tonic, and this is the one that you'll find on our website and on all of our leaflets. It uses grapefruit and it uses the apple mint that goes into the gin, and it just helps to bring out the flavours that are already there. The reason we use the grapefruit is because we need something acidic to cut through the spice that, again, we get from the gin. What we do is we'll put in a couple ones of these, mix it all around to make sure it gets muddled, and then you add the gin. It tends to be, in a big balloon glass like that, it will be 2 shots of gin and then a whole bottle of tonic. Now, when you do these at home, the whole point of what we're going to be doing is to point out that there's more ways of drinking your gin and tonics than just ice thing and the gin and then the tonic, and that you can be creative at home with things you have in your house. That's what we wanted to do here. It's common to have grapefruit or other acidic fruits in your house. It's common to have mint or something like that lying around, and it's all about getting to play with it and finding what you find the nicest, what's best for you and what suits your taste. Everybody's taste is different, and you missed the glass there slightly. So you put the gin over the top of the ice to make it cold, and whenever we do the tastings, if you tried it with us in the Bowls Hall, if you liked it in that little plastic glass, talking to myself or Chris or one of the people, Mark, you're going to like it way more in one of these big glasses or at home in a way that you've done it yourself as well. The tonic that we tend to use is Fever Tree, purely because it's got a lot less flavour, and it's not as strong as some other tonics, and it's not as sweet. It's also not as fizzy as well. And then, so I didn't realise this. The reason bar spoons like that have got that twist in them is so you can pour it down the stem like that, and it means it doesn't overflow and it doesn't fizz up. So, would anyone like to come up and try the gin and tonic? You're supposed to come up and try the gin and tonic. Yes, come up, come up.
Perfect.
Just one person anymore? Yes, there you go. Good. It's nearly night time as well, so you can get ready to go out. So the reason, what the grapefruit should do, it should help to cut through some of the spice and some of the intense flavours you get from the gin. Now our original gin is a very classic London dry gin. London dry just means, it doesn't mean it comes from London necessarily. All of our gin is produced in Hunts. It just means the style and the way it's made. So for us, once you make a London dry gin, you can't add anything else to it afterwards once it's been distilled, other than neutral alcohol and more water, and that's it. You get other gins where they add flavourings and things like that afterwards, and colourings as well. And our gin, with the mint in it as well, it makes it very refreshing. It makes it very quite moorish. You'll drink quite a few of them, but then you feel it a little bit. And it's very good as a summer drink. So what we're going to be doing next, when we do the next gins, is that it's going to be a little bit different. This one is our standard one that we tell people to use, and we tell people to, it's in all of our leaflets. What we're doing afterwards is ones that we've come up with ourselves. They're a little bit more inventive and have a little bit different flavours to what you might normally put into your gin and tonics. So the second gin we're going to use is our simmer gin, and this was named after the simmer dim, which I'm sure if everyone's from Shetland, they'll know what that is. So during the winter, during the summer, the sun never really sets over the horizon, and it's to celebrate the long summer nights. We use orange, caraway seeds, and licorice root. Now this is the only one of our gins that we don't get any botanicals from Shetland. We've tried to grow orange trees in Shetland, but it just doesn't work. What the gin has is a slight aniseedy taste, a citrus hit, but it's not a super strong citrus flavour. The orange is more of a bittersweet, and it's like the rind of it. So what normally we do, the pairing we normally say for this is Sicilian lemonade and rosemary. And what the rosemary is there to do is to take away from the sweetness of the gin. It's a naturally sweeter gin anyway because of the amount of orange we put into it. But today, because that was sort of how it was designed for summer, but as we're moving into sort of darker nights, we decided to change up a little bit and make it so it's more suiting to this time. And because it's already got the spices in it, we wanted to add a little bit more and make it a little bit more rounded. And again, it will be 2 measures of gin, just because it helps to carry the flavours throughout the tonic, so it's less diluted. This gin itself is 49%, so it's quite strong, but it would be one of the ones you have in a big glass. You wouldn't have too many of them, obviously, because then you get quite drunk. And then what we're doing here is to mix it all together, and once you add the tonic in, he'll scoop it up from underneath and mix the gin in with the tonic without shaking it around too much to get rid of the bubbles in the mixer. You don't want it to be flat. You want, once everything's in the glass, you want to sort of touch it as least as possible and then just serve it. And it's always important when you have cocktails to serve it right away. Don't let them sit, don't let them rest, because as soon as they're made, that's when they're the best. So, and as well, every time you make a cocktail or drink, always have a little taste, always have a little try. And if it's not right, there are little things you can do, little differences you can do. So what he's doing now is he's putting cloves into it. This adds, cloves and orange are quite a similar thing, and they're used quite a lot, especially in winter cooking. Mulled wine, for example, you'd always stud an orange with cloves. And that's the same kind of flavours we want to have in this. And people will always have cloves kicking around in the back of their cupboard. They'll always have oranges kicking around, and it makes it just slightly different. It shows the changes you can make to something you drink, say, hopefully not too often. But it shows the little differences you can make, and it makes it a completely different drink to what you might normally be used to. Is it tasty? It's nice.
Lovely.
It's good. So would anyone like to come up and try this as well? Same people, it's fine. You're all sharing, so you're not getting too much at once. And what that is there, people always think you need to use the actual segments of the fruit and get all the juice into it as well. Sometimes that can be a bit too much and doesn't quite suit either the gin or doesn't suit the tonic. And sometimes it's quite good to just use the rind of it and you get a slightly different flavour. It's not the sweet and you get more of the zest and more of the aroma from it. And when it's presented in ways like this, it always looks more appealing and it's always more sort of enjoyable, I feel, when it's done like this. And it's not just, I've had gin and tonics where it's been quite rubbish tonic, quite rubbish gin, and you sit and drink it and it's not that nice. But all of these will be good. And it tends to be with our spirits and any sort of craft distilled spirits. The flavours in them don't get lost with tonic. They change slightly, but they don't get lost. You'll still be able to taste you'll still be able to taste the aniseed flavours, you'll still be able to taste the orange flavours. So did people who tried it, did you like it? Was it nice? Good? Wonderful. You can say if it's rubbish if you like. And it is all down to personal taste. Some people won't like these things that we're putting into it. Some people won't like tonic or they won't like gin. And it is important to find your own. I always say to people, if you buy a bottle from us and you ask us, we have suggested servings, but it's up to you. If you like putting lemon in all your gins, do it. It's yours. And it's supposed to be fun and get inventive with it. That's how we've created all of these gins. It's trial and error. It's finding what works for yourself and what works for your palate. And everybody's is different. Wonderful. So, does anyone have any questions so far? Great. So, our third and final cocktail we're making is going to use our Ocean Scent Gin. Now this one is personally my favourite. It's 49%. It's the same basic botanicals as we use in our original one, except we change it once. We take out the mint we use in that, and we replace it with bladderwrack seaweed. Now this is seaweed that we collect from round the island ourselves. The guys at the distillery, Mark and Luke, have all done a course so they know which stuff to take and which stuff to leave, how much to take of it. In the distillations each time, it's not that much seaweed. You don't need to use a lot. It's a very pungent and very powerful flavour. Now what Chris is doing in the bottom of the glass is he's crushing up cardamom pods. Now what this will do, it gives it, the gin itself, it's already got spices in it. It's already got coriander, it's got the cassia bark, which is basically, it's kind of like cinnamon. And what it will do is it creates a slightly different way of having it, almost like a Southeast Asian flavours, and there'll be lime in it as well, and helps cut through some of the spice. And it's all about balance, it's all about finding what's right. You don't want to put too much of one thing or too little of another. All the seaweed that we do use, like I said, they all collect it themselves. You would have seen it on Island Parish, if everyone watched Island Parish. Yeah, even I watched it and I wasn't even here. I'm not from Shetland, and I think that is a fantastic way for people to see Shetland. And I go to bars and I go to restaurants and I do events all around the UK, and we do them abroad now as well. And I had a guy who's an expat who lives in Spain who watched Island Parish on BBC iPlayer, and he came to our stall purely because he saw it there. And he enjoyed the fact, and they like the fact that it's got provenance, that it's got a story behind it, that it's actually on the island. We're the first ever legal distillery on Shetland, because at some point there must have been some sort of little still in somebody's back garden, but we're the first one to produce like this as well, and it's internationally recognised. It helps to put Shetland on the map. People always ask me what Shetland's like, and this is the first time I've ever been here. So now I can honestly say that it is lovely, it's so friendly. Everybody waves when you're driving past. On us, you're driving from the ferry to the distillery. I got waved at like 5 times. It's so nice. And everyone's really helpful, and I say that, and I think that everybody here in our gins and everything like that, it translates well, and it gets a good, they're all good ambassadors for Shetland. And we should all be very proud of that. So what we put into there is lime rind, the lime segments?
Yeah.
Yes, and then the lemon rind, because you don't want to have too much of the lemon actual juice in there, otherwise it gets a little bit too much and it's too acidic. You don't want the acidity, you just want the sort of aroma of it all. Because the gin is quite strong, sometimes in other cocktails you might want to put a little bit less in if you're trying it at home with different drinks. And it's important, again, like I said, trial and error is the easiest way to find what's nicest. And as well, don't feel that you always have to use tonic when you have gin. A lot of people think that they don't like gin, but it's actually the tonic they don't like. So you can use other mixers, you can use things like ginger ale goes really well with our ocean scent. Like I said, lemonade goes really well with our simmer gin, and it's all down to personal taste. I drink the ocean scent just by itself in a big glass with lots of like ice and a big wedge of orange. But because it is quite strong, you can't really have too many. Is it good? Is it lovely? Is it tasty?
Beautiful.
There we go. Right. And I'm assuming the same 7 odd people will come up and try again. There we go. Yay. It's like a stampede all at once. No, I really like cocktails like this. And it's a simple thing you can do at home. All these ingredients you'll have, maybe not the gin, but it doesn't mean you need to go out and buy a thing of vermouth, a thing of all these other little ingredients you never might use again. And it's a great way as well to have different parts, to find different flavours that work with the gins. And it's really fresh. Whenever you tend to mix things, you will lose some of the flavours. You do still get a little bit of coastal notes and some of the savouriness from the seaweed, but it's not much. People always seem a little bit worried when they try the seaweed gin. They assume it's going to taste like the sea. It shouldn't. It will never taste like that because that's not pleasant. People ask us as well if we garnish it with seaweed. Again, the flavour just gets too much and it tastes too much like the sea. Has anyone been to visit the distillery? Yeah? Did you enjoy it? It's not as big as you think it might be. And like any sort of small community thing, it's a big room with a still in the corner and then lots of different parts. But people always think that it's going to be a very small production, and it is small production. The batches each time are tiny. The stills drink 100 litres, but yet it's recognised across the UK. It's in some of the nicest bars and nicest restaurants across the UK. I saw it in a shop in London, and they were selling it for way more than what we sell for. I asked the guy, I was like, can you tell me about it? He didn't know I worked for the company, and he knew everything. And he was saying how good it is, and how nice it is, and how lovely it is. And it's always so interesting as well whenever I go somewhere else in the UK and I see it behind the bar and I think, oh, it's doing well. It's not just little places that I go visit or that people go visit to sell it. It's actually recognised as a very good gin. It's won both our original and our ocean scent have both won silver at the San Francisco Spirit Awards, which is one of the most prestigious ones in the world. The ocean scent won an outstanding silver medal for a gin and tonic. Our blended whiskey won gold at the San Francisco Spirit Awards as well. So these are internationally recognised products that are getting out onto the world and into a further sort of spectrum. And it's not just, yet everything's still done by 2 guys in a shed on Ants. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? No? You can have a sip, surely. If you just have like a little, it'd be fine. You can come up and smell it as well, and if you have any more questions afterwards, come and find us and we'll answer it all. But I hope it's been a little bit informative, and it shows that you can make little differences and add extra ingredients, and you'll be able to find things that work for you and that are nicer, and it makes it just a little bit better, and it changes it as well. Yeah. So, thank you very much. You've been a wonderful audience, very captivating, very thankful for me.